Emma Hadesy with Florida Bay Forever. We are so excited to be the new operators here out of the Russell Cottage at the Green Turtle Hammock Nature Preserve, and we are here today interviewing Rich Russell to gather some family history on the cottage that is now our home. We hope you enjoy it.
My name's Rich Russell. I was born February 5th, 1957. I was actually born in Doctors Hospital, which is just behind the University of Miami. The reason for it is we didn't have a local hospital at the time. I've lived here my entire life with the exception of the 4 years I went to college, which was the University of Miami. I had the honor of going there on a football scholarship and playing, and then after getting hurt, coaching a little bit. A wonderful experience, and then I came back down here and immediately started coaching baseball and football at my alma mater, Coral Shores High School. You know, I need to preface, first of all, that I am not by any means a historian. Irving Eister was a historian, a great one. Jerry Wilkinson is a great historian. And they've handed the baton off to folks that have run with it. Barbara Egger, who is Irving's daughter, is doing a great job of perpetuating the collection and restoration of our history. Brad Bertelli, who was protege to Jerry, has all Jerry's information, and he's taken the baton and taken it to the next level. And so, I first of all need to express my incredible appreciation for folks like Jerry Wilkinson and Irving Eister, Laura Lee Carrera, Coral Shores graduate in 1959. Is passionate about collecting our history and has a tremendous amount of first-hand knowledge. So that was my disclaimer to start out with. I'm not a historian. That said, my family came from Harbor Island. They had left the Carolinas around the Revolutionary period. They were loyalists, and they settled in Harbor Island. They moved from Harbor Island to Key Vaca in 1938. Key Vaca is, of course, Marathon. And they resided there as farmers. Didn't have a great deal of success with the land there. And so in 1854, they settled the upper end of Matacumbe, what we call the east end of Matacumbe. They would, after Florida was surveyed, which I think the Keys weren't surveyed until 1872 was the first of the Keys, the Key Largo got surveyed. In accordance with the Homestead Act of 1862, which was under the Lincoln administration, which was sort of tied into Manifest Destiny. You could own 160 acres. So we were the first family here in 1854. Our current mayor, Buddy Pender's family, was the second. His family was not listed in Dade County. By the way, everything north, I think Bay of Honda was Dade County still at this time frame. In the 1850s and the 1860s, but by 1870, they were listed, 19 Penders were over on Indian Key where they were farming. And the speculation is that they probably came to the middle of Upper Matacumbe in 1863 or 64. Or I'm sorry, they went to Indian Key and then came here in 73 or 74. But they were in the Upper Keys in the mid 1860s. Richard H. and Mary Ann Russell were the original settlers there, and their sons, they had 5 children, but their 2 oldest sons, Cephas and Adolphus Pender, also received land grants. But Cephas Pender received a land grant. His father, Richard, did, and then Cephas and Richard died within 3 months of each other. So much of that came to Adolphus, and that's actually Buddy's family. Adolphus had 6 kids. Among them was his third, Preston Pender. And most of the Penders that are around right now are descendants of Preston. Preston's oldest son was Bertram. He had another son, Russell. He had daughters, Leola, Evenette, Laureate, and Juliet. And obviously, at some point in time, most of the families there aren't many branches to our family tree. So there were marriages between the two. But Buddy's great-great-grandfather was Preston. His great-grandfather was Bertram. No, his grandfather was Bertram. And then his father was Joseph, who was Bertram's son. Bertram also was father to Dory Pinder Dalton. And I'm sorry, Dory Pinder brothers, and Alma Dalton, who just recently died at age 96, I think, close to 97. I mentioned that my great-great-grandparents was Richard H. and Mary Ann. So again, my family's descendants of John Henry. And at the time of the 1935 hurricane, and this gets sort of, whitewashed, and frankly, it was misreported several times as to how many fatalities we had in our family. One periodical at the time said that we had 77 family members and lost 66 to the storm. I think in the Last Train to Paradise, they quoted that we had 61 family members and 50 were killed. In actuality, and my Uncle Floyd Russell, who's James Pinder's son, who was James Clifton Pinder's son, went through and analyzed everything. He has it down verbatim, including names and dates and birth dates and the whole 9 yards. We had 53 family members on September 1st, and on September 2nd, following the storm, we had 15 family members. So we had 38 family members that were killed. Among them were both of my grandparents. And I could go through the list, but it's almost easier to name the ones that survived. My Aunt Rosalie, that I mentioned, the oldest daughter, had moved down to Lower Matecumbe, and most of her family were spared. Her sons, Billy and Ralph, who was Dixie, and Brayman, her daughter, they all survived. My Uncle Johnny, who had been my grandfather's brother, lost all of his family except his oldest son. So he lost his 3 daughters. His oldest son, Bernard, lived. My Uncle Clifton was the sole survivor, along with his oldest son, who was Bernard. So he lost, I believe it was 2 daughters and 2 sons. And his wife, they both lost their wives. So that's most of the lineage that remained, after the 35 hurricane.
Thanks so much for tuning in today for our interview with Rich Russell on the history of this cottage here at the Green Turtle Hammock Nature Preserve. We are so excited to share updates and more to come from us at Florida Bay Forever, and hope you stay tuned for more.